San Francisco 49ers are looking to rebound after a tough loss against their division rival where they blew the lead in the fourth quarter. To me, at least as the Falcons fan, nothing seems better than a rebound against the New England Patriots, who they will be facing in the Week 4 as well. Ryan, as a fellow Patriots fan, I had to throw that in there. So we're going to break down the Week 4 matchup between the New England Patriots and San Francisco 49ers, provide some of the matchups that you need to watch out in the game. And then at the very end of the video, we are going to provide our predictions for the game and why. But before we get into that, we're trying to get to 100 new subscribers within this Week 4 prediction video series, and any help is greatly appreciated. And so while we're at it, if you have not already, go ahead and subscribe to the Tracy Take and leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think is going to win this game and why. So even with how banged up the 49ers were, I was confident in them coming out victorious against the Los Angeles Rams because they were equally as banged up as well. And things were looking really good until kind of the fourth quarter came around where they just slowly kept losing just kind of some of the key battles that you need to pull out some of these games here. And I think one thing to be said as well for this 49ers team is I think the injury bug is definitely hitting them hard as Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey were out for the game. Also looks like Javon Hargrave hurt his tricep towards the end of the game as well. And there's been a couple.
George Kittle missed the game with a hamstring.
Kittle also missed the game as well. So those are some key players as well. And I think even too, I saw at one point Trent Williams was down as well, but I'm not able to see anything at the moment of his overall status. But so I won't say that, or I won't include that in kind of that list. But definitely, I think for this team here, with how explosive they are and how much kind of motion they really need to have, losing some of those key players as well. And also, too, they're just your star players in general. Whenever you lose your star players, it's going to be a big hit to the team. And they just seem to be losing all of them as of right now. But luckily, though, I'll say, Ryan, this far, I'll kind of throw it over to you. Even to this New England Patriots team, there's just not still much there to be desired, really. It seems it's really lackluster performance against the Jets on Thursday Night Football in Week 3.
Also, I will also add, as much as the 49ers are banged up, the Patriots are pretty banged up in the trenches as well. So we'll kind of have to see who's healthy on the offensive line for this game, who's healthy on the defensive line as well. And with all that being said, New England doesn't have nearly the star power that the 49ers had to begin with. And so losing those people who are already not as good as the 49ers is going to, I think, play a big role in this matchup. And just looking at New England, passing game, very lackluster. They're one of the top running teams, although they ran the ball for like 60 yards against the Jets. Not a good running performance, but they were also behind the whole time. They had to throw the ball. And like coach's self-admitted poor game plan choice there going in, wanting to throw the ball more, and just really struggled against a Jets defense that hadn't been that great this year. And we know personnel-wise that they were a good defense, but they hadn't been performing to that level quite this year. And we made them look like a top 5 defense in the league with ease. So all in all, this Patriots team is just in a complete and total rebuild. I hope this offensive line can perform better than they did, because giving up 7 sacks, over a 50% pressure rate, just not acceptable circumstances for any quarterback, let alone a team that has a veteran currently taking bullets for a rookie. So it's a tough situation in New England. And then also you look at the playmaker side. Demario Douglas is a good slot receiver, but outside of that, they really have very little production from any receivers. And defensively, Christian Barmore is their best player. He's currently out dealing with blood clots. And they lost Juwan Bentley, who was their signal caller, with a pectoral, I believe a pectoral tear, and he may be back at the end of the season. Maybe he may be out for the rest of the season. We don't know. But he's definitely going to be out for this matchup. And then some banged up corners as well. So it's just a litany of problems going on in New England right now.
Yeah, no, and even too as well, it's Niners still, even with all the injuries that they're having right now, we're still able to move the ball against. Admittedly, I would say pretty poor secondary in Los Angeles, but there's still some good pieces, especially in that front seven. Some good young pieces as well that they're you have to kind of worry about. And it didn't really seem to phase them too much, especially in the first part of that game. So I'm going to be curious to see how the Patriots defense does against the Niners offense. And so let's kind of transition to that and some of the key matchups to watch. But before we get into that, if you do want to put a couple of bucks down on this game or any of the other Week 4 games, check out the link down below in the description box. BetUS has a bunch of great promotions going on right now for this game and for all first-time players as well. And I think, too, even with some of the injuries, still think the Niners are going to be favored in this one. I'd be shocked if they weren't. Once again, too, I know you guys got Christian Gonzalez, but really outside of that, though, I think it's tough, for the Patriots secondary to keep up with some of the other receiving talent. So Christian Gonzalez versus Brandon Ayuk, I think it's going to be a fun matchup. But even as we saw in Week 3, guys like Alan Lazard, Mike Williams, Tyler Conklin even had an amazing game. And that's what I think is going to be the concern is then, all right, fine, maybe Brandon Ayuk, Christian Gonzalez is going to be a good matchup. But Juwan Jennings had a good game. There's still going to be other players as well for the Niners team that can make an impact. And I just don't know how you guys are going to stop them just overall through a 60-minute game.
And that is, so like, I don't have an issue with Jonathan Jones, Marcus Jones, Marco Wilson are the other corners that are there. They're all just undersized. And that, to me, I think was the big thing with Alan Lazard and Mike Williams was it didn't really matter how tight of coverage that those guys had. They were just smaller. And like at a certain point, it was like you can't coach height. And I think that was a big glaring thing going on against the Jets. Same issue with the 49ers, though. Juwan Jennings, Brandon Ayuk, those are both big receivers. Ronnie Bell is the perfect receiver for the Patriots to cover. One, because he drops everything. So if he does get open, then he most likely won't bring it in. But like that is the type of receiver that they want these guys to cover. I think you look at the division too, it makes sense with the Dolphins, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle, Stephon Diggs, Khalil Shakur. I know Stephon Diggs is not in Buffalo anymore, but he is not the menacing jump ball receiver. He's much more of the shiftier, like kind of outside guy. So they are built for that division, and I know that those teams have kind of switched things up a little bit, the Jets being mostly this year. But yeah, so I think that those are going to be some really tough matchups. Also, how does this Patriots front – the Jets were able to kind of run all over them. How does this Patriots defensive front do against this 49ers offensive line? The biggest thing, Patriots missed 13 tackles. They gave up over 100 extra yards after contact, where if they would have just made their tackles, that game probably is a lot closer. Just giving up an extra 100 yards. I can think of 3 or 4 situations where they let the Jets off the hook on 3rd and medium or 3rd and long just because they missed a tackle either in the backfield or for a short gain that would have brought out the punting unit. So how does having a mini bye kind of do they get a little extra rest to be able to make those tackles and feel better? I mean, who knows? It could be hit or miss for them. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, no, and even with a team like the Niners, even if they are missing some of their top guys, just as we saw with the Jets, like these teams are going to be able to capitalize on it. And so I think it's going to be an interesting matchup for your Patriots team. Let's kind of get into predictions here. And so as a Patriots fan, I'll throw it over to you here first. Who do you think is going to win this game and why?
San Francisco, they're much better.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I also think it's just going to be San Francisco as well. They are better, even with some of these injuries. I'm going to be curious to see how Jacoby Brissett and this offensive line start to mesh up going up against Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and company. I still think it's going to be tough, even if Von Hargrave is out, even if some of the top offensive pieces are out as well. It's just in general, I think it's just going to be tough for them to go up. I think, as you mentioned already, there's just not enough skill on your side of the ball, I think, to really overcome the injuries and maybe inefficient play from the Niners.
Yeah, and that's like New England is still very much figuring things out. Like this offensive line is, I think putting it as a work in progress is nice, a nice way to put it. And like defensively, they're missing a lot of players up front now. Like, so they're a work in progress. They're a rebuilding team. This is what you expect from a rebuilding team. San Francisco is not that. San Francisco has Super Bowl aspirations. They've been there a couple times in the last 3 or 4 years, and haven't been able to come away with it, but in two very competitive games, like they're at the top of the mountain, and New England is trying to get the pieces together to make a push to go up the mountain. They're not even really in the race yet. So
Yeah.
it's going to be, I think, a long day for New England. My biggest thing, keeping Nick Bosa in check is going to be very important. They allowed so many pressures off that right side to like Will McDonald, who of all people, like it wasn't even like Jermaine Johnson, who was one of their top edge rushers. He was hurt. Will McDonald was their backup offensive line or edge rusher there. So like that's a bad loss and a bad look for New England. So keeping him in check and just showing signs of progression throughout this game and then just the rest of the season is going to be very important. So we're both taking the 49ers. Let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on why you think the San Francisco 49ers are going to win this game, and let us know by how many points do you think they're going to win by, because I think it could be over 20. And yeah, so let's go ahead and wrap it up. Know that we'll see you guys next time.